On this urban episode of UTR, we're back in Motown for a gargantuan guardian, an awesome Corktown eatery, and a city storyteller extraordinaire. Then we'll show you an academy that's giving culinary kids a promising future, and even take you to a place where clay is helping shape lives. Get ready to explore the cool people, places, and things that make Detroit a great place to be.
Support for Under the Radar provided by the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, dedicated to shared economic success. MEDC promotes the state's assets and opportunities that support business investment, job growth, and community vitality.
Everyone loves a great story, whether it's the classics we grew up with or the ones handed down through history. But what about the comeback stories, where what's new meets what's next, and why meets why not? Let's dive into the latest chapter of Detroit and the unmistakable vibe of pure Michigan. Your trip begins at michigan.org.
Support provided by DestinationAnnArbor.org, your gateway to Chelsea, Dexter, Manchester, Milan, Saline, Ypsilanti, and Ann Arbor. There's something special about the pride, the skill, and the passion it takes to build something great. The Construction Association of Michigan, CAM, understands that passion and has been providing contractors with the resources they need since 1885.
I've been around the world, but there's one place I keep coming back to. And the more I explore, the more I realize it's the place to be. I'm Tom Dalton, and this is Under the Radar Michigan. Now, here's some stuff you need to know about Detroit. Let me see, I was born here. It was founded by the French. It's north of Canada. We put the world on wheels, and we invented Motown music. And other than that, that's about it. Well, except for that and about 11 billion other things.
And those things are the reason we come back again and again. If you want interesting, creative, and motivated people, Detroit's got them. And if you want awesome edibles from all corners, Detroit's serving them up. And if you're looking for a diverse city with lots to do and plenty of progressive places to peruse, look no more, because Motown is where you need to hang around. So if you like city surfing, hop in, because for the next half hour, UTR is your urban Uber. Now, just in case you've been living under a rock, or you're from Madagascar, Detroit's been located in southeast Lower Michigan since July 24th, 1701. Hey, I remember that day. It was warm.
You know, the momentum here in Detroit is building, literally. And the success of this great city will stand on the shoulders of giants. And speaking of giants, you're about to meet one right now.
The Guardian Building is one of Detroit's crowning jewels of architecture, history, and just sheer majesty. It's helped define the city skyline for almost 90 years now. And today, the Guardian Building still attracts tons of tourists from far and wide. Not only is it a National Historic Landmark, it's without a doubt one of the most significant and striking Art Deco skyscrapers in the entire world. And thanks to Kaylin Waterman and the inspired folks at Detroit Experience Factory, you can take a tour of this towering treasure and find out all of its fascinating facts.
To be honest, this building has been on our radar for like 7 years now, and we finally got around to coming down here. What an incredible structure.
Absolutely amazing.
From the outside, it almost looks like a cathedral.
Absolutely.
Was it designed that way?
It was. It was actually designed to be a cathedral to finance. It was the original headquarters for the Union Trust, and that's what you're looking at, a cathedral to finance.
Well, at the Detroit Experience Factory, you guys do all kinds of experiences and tours of the city, but you also do one of the Guardian Building.
We do. The Guardian Building is included on almost all of our tours, our Downtown and Beyond tours, our Art and Architecture tours.
I'll never forget the first time I came in this lobby. It's like you stop, your jaw drops, and you wonder how this all happened. I mean, it almost looks like it's got an Aztec design to it. Is that on purpose?
Absolutely on purpose, absolutely. That was during the Art Deco period, Aztec and Mayan designs were very popular, and the architect went one step further and kind of made sure that was the overall theme for the building.
And I don't know if this is true, but somebody told me it was built in an incredibly short amount of time.
Incredibly short amount of time, 7 months to be exact.
They built this incredible structure in 7 months.
Yes, if you can believe it.
No, I don't believe that. Sorry. I don't. Why was it built so fast?
We're thinking labor was very cheap back in those days, which is a little unfortunate, but they were able to accomplish a lot in a very short amount of time because people were looking for work and ready to do it.
I mean, most regular homes aren't built that fast.
And not with this beautiful design either, or any attention to the detail.
And the Michigan mural,
Yeah.
tell me about that. That's extraordinary.
Beautiful. So Ezra Winter designed this mural at the end of the atrium here, and it was kind of meant to point the mind to all of the different industries that made Michigan great in those days. So not even just Detroit, but the entire state of Michigan was an extremely plentiful place. We were number 5 in the nation for produce for a long time, so that's why you see the goddess in the center with not one, but 2 horns of plenty, one in either hand.
Well, speaking of Michigan, I understand this is a total Michigan-made project.
Yes, absolutely. Yep. And this is one of the oldest red brick buildings that's still standing of this size and stature in the country.
What do you think this means to the city of Detroit to have a landmark like this?
Honestly, I think that it instills a sense of pride in us to be able to walk into this building, especially since a lot of people kind of miss the fact that it's here a lot of times. And when there's a skyscraper that you walk by on your way to work every day, sometimes you don't think, I can just walk in. But once you walk in, you have that sort of awe-inspiring feeling. So I think it instills a sense of pride in us here.
It's just awe-inspiring.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
One final question. How many bricks?
I don't know how many bricks.
I was hoping you'd know.
I don't know that one.
The correct response is a lot.
A lot, yes, a lot. Absolutely a lot.
You know, seeing this incredible building on TV is cool, but if you want to get a real feel for its gargantuan grandeur, you got to take this tour.
So get a hold of the folks at the Detroit Experience Factory and find the time to take this towering tour for yourself. It's a great way to start building a better relationship with this great city. Get it? Building? Oh boy. In the past 10 years, the food scene in Detroit has literally exploded. There are so many awesome and eclectic eateries here now that, well, it's hard for us to find out which one to feature for you. But lucky for you, we figured it out.
Whether you pronounce it Ima or Imma, I'm gonna go in there and get a bite to eat. I hear it's pretty good.
Actually, Tom, it's pronounced Ima. And when it comes to a bite to eat, this compact place has everything you need to soothe the savage stomach. It's a chef-driven, Asian-inspired eatery in historic Corktown that offers edibles done with a flair for flavor. And the atmosphere is hip, hoppin', and extremely hospitable. They've got an award-winning, ever-evolving menu of signature noodle soups, rice bowls, curry dishes, small plates, and a big following. Mike Ransom is the sharing chef who holds no appetite hostage. He went from Michigan to Chicago to San Francisco, Baltimore, and back home to make Ima. And I'm impressed.
Now, we both know that running a restaurant is a tough way to make a living. It's a lot of hard work, so you have to really, really love it. Where did you get your love for food?
You know, I think my mom probably passed her love for food on to me as a young child. We were raised gardening and cooking from scratch. My parents didn't buy any prepared foods, and they raised us vegetarian. So from a young age, if we wanted to eat, we had to prepare food ourselves, and she taught us how to do that.
Sounds like your folks might have been hippies.
They were big-time hippies, yeah. Yeah, we may or may not have lived on a hippie commune at one point in my life. Yes, they were definitely hippies, and they also raised us with an alternative-minded dining food lifestyle as well. You know, they were probably on the beginning cusp of the organic food movement and also the vegetarian, vegan food movement.
Well, what steered you towards the Asian influence in your food?
Oddly enough, my parents being hippies in the 70s, they were also vegetarian, and if you were vegetarian in that time period, you looked at Asian cuisine or Indian Asian cuisine to learn how to use those vegetarian ingredients. They chose Japanese as what they wanted to use as a template, so I was raised on brown rice, a lot of seaweeds and kombus and miso soups, and tofu and tempeh for protein, you know, all Japanese ingredients. And so essentially that's my comfort food because that's what I was raised on.
What do you love about being in Corktown?
You know, it's the neighborhood feel. It is what I anticipated it being 10 years ago. To see where it was then and where it is now, it's really amazing to see how it's filling in, and to know that people can live in this neighborhood and they can have these businesses be kind of an anchor to the neighborhood, and to be a restaurant serving that neighborhood is fantastic.
Mike's motivation and genuine passion for food and this great city is contagious. He has that energetic and creative spark that young chefs have when they make meals magic. So just as art is in the eye of the beholder, comfort food is in the tummy of those who try it. So I double dog dare you to tear yourself away from the mundane and munch the menu at Ema. I'm pretty sure you'll be back for more.
You know, we all like a good story, especially when it's about a place we love. So sit back and relax, because here's a story about a guy who tells some of those stories. He must have come on the train.
Aaron Foley is one of the most motivated, decorated, and prolific writers you'll ever encounter. And recently he was named Detroit's chief storyteller by Mayor Mike Duggan. Aaron's new mission is to help all of us understand what it really means to survive, thrive, and be alive in this great city. Aaron and I sat down for a warm cup and a good old-fashioned Motown mind meld at Great Lakes Coffee Roasters in Midtown.
The first story I want you to tell me is how you got picked. I mean, I know the mayor picked you to be the chief storyteller, which, by the way, is the coolest job title ever. But how did that happen?
Got a phone call out of the blue from the mayor's office and found out that he had been reading a lot of the stuff I had written. He read my book, he read some of the blogs I was putting out and things like that, and he asked if I would come onto the team and create this platform where Detroiters can learn more about themselves, learn about what's going on the east side, the west side, southwest, and have it all in one place, and that's how I ended up there.
What an awesome honor that is, though. Did he knight you or something, or did he?
So he took his sword, and we.
No, that is such a cool title.
Yeah.
And I personally discovered you. I watched a TED Talk that you did, which I thought was fascinating because it brought up a point that's been important to me for a long time, and that is that I was born in the city of Detroit.
Right.
Okay. It's always been the place I go for entertainment, for culture. It's always been my city. My dad used to have an office down here, but I grew up in the suburbs, and I live in the suburbs. So the big question is, am I a Detroiter?
I think so, yeah. I mean, there's always that question of, you know, what makes a Detroiter, what doesn't make a Detroiter, and what's so near and dear to me is growing up in the city and having all of these experiences that, you know, if you grew up way out in the country, or if you grew up in Chicago or whatever, you know, there are experiences unique to Detroit that cannot be replicated anywhere else. And my issue has always been, you know, if you were born in Detroit and grew up in the suburbs, okay, fine, whatever. But, or if, you know, if whatever reason you moved away, that's fine. But trying to replicate Detroit experiences outside of Detroit, that's where it gets kind of hazy for me. It's just because, you know, you can't replicate culture.
Now you recently, well, you've written a lot of stuff, but you wrote a book called, I don't know if I want to say it. You say it.
It's called. Can I say it?
Yeah, you can say it. Go ahead, say it.
All right. It's called How to Live in Detroit Without Being a Jackass.
Okay, now, what is that all about?
Well, I mean, Detroit is great, right? There's a lot of interest in Detroit from people coming from as far away as Madagascar and as close as Madison Heights. But there's a lot of experiences that come with growing up and living in Detroit that, like I say, can't be replicated elsewhere. So this is just sort of your entry-level guide to living in Detroit. I say in the very beginning of the book, I'm not an expert, but I do know a couple of things. So here's my offering to you.
If you want to experience and understand the real Detroit, let Aaron's story sink in a bit. Then have your own urban adventure real soon. Because the more Detroiters you get to know, the more you'll want to mingle in Motown. And if you already live here, well, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
You know, there's a lot of ways you can change a young person's life. But if you can do it with food, it's a great recipe for success.
And that's exactly what the Detroit Food Academy is doing. Teaching high school kids to source fresh food, cook, dream, and build a promising future. Jen Rusciano had an idea, found a dedicated, caring, and enthusiastic crew and set out to enlighten minds one culinary kid at a time.
Okay, excuse the pun, but did you cook up this whole idea yourself?
No, I had an amazing team. We came together, 3 co-founders in 2011. We had a Detroit Public Schools educator, a food business owner, and myself, who's a food systems educator. And we brought food, entrepreneurship, and education all together to be the 3 pillars of our organization.
So you go into high schools and you teach these, it's a volunteer thing? It's like the kids volunteer to do this?
Yep, just like any after-school club, any students can join, drop in, drop out, and there's no charge for young people, no charge for schools, so we're just kind of like the drama club, the debate team. You can join the DFA.
Only tastes better.
Yeah.
So they come in there and they learn how to cook, they learn how to source food, they learn about food as opposed to, because a lot of times in big cities, there's not a lot of great sources for healthy food. I know when I was a high school kid, I always reached for salty, sweet, starchy.
The good stuff.
Well, yeah, it's just like at that age, you just you just eat junk. So it's great that at this age, you're so young, they're starting to learn about real food and how important it is.
Yeah, you know, a lot of what we like to start with our students is peeling back the mystery behind some of their favorite things. You know, so if you love pop, you can cook down fresh fruits into a syrup, add seltzer, and you've made your own pop. And that just sort of starts a lot of our young people on the journey of saying, whoa, I could make these things myself, I could change them to my taste, and then we build from there into skills that are more tied to entrepreneurship. So things like, how do you manage a team, financial literacy, how do you make your idea become a reality? And food is kind of the way that we get there.
So it's not just teaching high school kids how to eat better or how to source food, but the next step is they come to a place like that. We're at a place called Peaches and Greens today. And it's now here you're actually teaching them to be entrepreneurs and to actually formulate their own products.
Yes.
So what are they working on today?
So today our students are working on 2 of our youth creative businesses. So one is a granola bar called Mitten Bites, which uses local honey and fruits in creating a delicious granola bar. And then we have Slow Jams, which is a Michigan jam company. So they're making both today in the kitchen, jam and granola bars.
You're doing some good stuff.
Thank you. Thanks for being with us.
Shucks.
Both the facilitators and young people who participate in this program get so much out of it. Just ask Yolanda Scarborough. I did.
Now be honest, is this more rewarding for you or for the kids?
Oh, that is a great question. It's rewarding for all of us. There's actually a rule I give our classroom coordinators, and one of the things I say is if you're not having fun, then the students are not having fun. So it's definitely rewarding. It's my life work.
Because it's, I mean, some people say it's just food, but you're changing people's lives.
Food is the vehicle. It's the vehicle to help with actual youth development because we have the same issues that any other after-school program would have. We have sometimes conflict resolution issues. We have to talk about, sometimes the kids have a bad day. One of the first things we do in program is called check-in. And when we come in, we say, how are you doing for the day? And tell us how your day went. Sometimes this is the first time in a student's day that someone is actually taking the time to ask them how they're doing. It's the smallest little thing, but it's something that they take with them throughout their whole week. They might sometimes hold on to that, the fact that someone has said to me, how are you doing?
So you're mentoring these kids, you're helping them, you're helping develop them, giving them self-confidence?
Well, actually, I think, I don't even like the word empowerment, because empowerment means I have something to give to them, and I believe that these students have everything they already need on the inside of them, and they just need somebody to, it's just like a plant. You put the seed in the ground and you pour the water. There, the seed is in the ground, and we put the water into it. It's already there. It just needs to sprout up. It just needs those things like some resilience thrown in there, teaching some tenacity, don't give up. We don't always get a perfect recipe, so how our program works is they come in on any given day, they bring a recipe in. The recipe is just the recipe and the ingredients, and that's all they start with. They are not chefs, they don't know how to do this, so they take those ingredients, they take the recipes, they read them, and at the end of the day, they've created something beautiful.
Where were you when I was a kid?
Where was I when I was a kid?
Well said.
The Detroit Food Academy is using the culinary arts to help kids develop social consciousness, become more confident and self-aware, and as a bonus, eat better too. They're preparing kids for the future and eating healthy food all at the same time. And from a UTR perspective, you can't do better than that.
You know, Detroit has thousands of incredible treasures. Well, here's a place that makes new ones every day, and they're made out of clay.
For over a century, Pewabic Pottery has been turning earth into the art and everyday objects we love. But don't be mistaken, it isn't just a place you go to buy tile for your kitchen. It's a community of makers, educators, artists, and students, all dedicated to the tradition of turning clay into the expressions of our lives. It's also a place where inspired throwers and molders go to experiment and push the boundaries of what's possible. Located right on East Jefferson, Pewabic is the place to go if you want to say it in clay. And speaking of things to say, Steve McBride is the executive director at Pewabic, and he told me plenty.
First of all, what does the word Pewabic mean? Where does that come from?
It's an Ojibwe term that means metal, and it actually came from the founder of the pottery, Mary Chase Perry Stratton, came from the Upper Peninsula, and it was named after a copper mine, the Pewabic copper mine, where her father worked.
What's amazing is Pewabic tile it's different things for different people. Some people come here to buy tile for their bathroom. Some people come here to buy art. Some people come here just to look. I mean, it's so multi-dimensional. Some people come here to learn how to make tile or to sit on a wheel. You guys do so much stuff here.
Yeah, right now we're sitting in our education studio, so we do classes year-round. So, if you want to learn to throw on a wheel or hand build or create sculptures, you can come take a class here. We also do like one night, what we call Friday Night Out, where you can come and, just either like make a tile or learn to do wheel throwing. And our mission is to enrich the human spirit through clay. And so we do that in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, a lot of people might not realize that Pewabic is a big part of this city.
It really is. I mean, we like to say we're part of the fabric of the city. I mean, we've been making work here for, since 1903. And so we've got work. If you go downtown, you'll see us in the Guardian building. You'll see us all along, like, the Woodward Corridor. We're in Comerica Park, which is something we did in the 2000s. Just this year, we installed tile in all the Q Line stations. We did a mural in the front of Little Caesars Arena, the new Red Wings Stadium. You can see historic, Pewabic in the DIA, the Art Institute, and the Historical Society. And, it's really just a part of the city. And so Pewabic's been around. We're one of the longest continuously operating potteries in the nation. But, we're really just so, closely related to Detroit. I mean, it's part of our DNA.
It's funny, everybody has a Pewabic tile story. I've got mine. When we bought our first house 29 years ago, my wife said, I've got some cool stuff I want you to see. She came down here and bought 12 really cool Pewabic artistic tiles that we put in our kitchen. Well, speed ahead 20 years, we wanted to remodel the kitchen, so we had the contractor, we said, we want you to tear out everything, but the only thing we want you to keep are the Pewabic tiles. And those same Pewabic tiles he took out and put back in on our new kitchen. And they make the whole kitchen. They give it an artistic flair.
They really do. I mean, it's personality. And, we were founded, part of the inspiration behind Pewabic was like a return to craftsmanship. And it's the hand of the maker. It was part of the arts and crafts movement. And, we still carry that on today.
Like I said, you're part of the fabric of the city. You help give it a sense of place and a personality. And most notably, you're part of my kitchen.
That's even better, yeah.
I know. I do brag about that, by the way.
We like that, yeah.
Well, with a noggin full of fascinating Pewabic facts, I felt it was time for me to, throw a little fate to the wind and some clay on a wheel. So accomplished artist and thrower Nicole Morocco helped me go for a spin. I mean, what could go wrong?
Voila! You can do this too, only better. Oh, darn it.
So whether you're looking for a unique gift, a fun new endeavor, or a way to make your home sing with ceramics, Pewabic Pottery is a place you really need to check out.
And thanks to this episode, there are now 5 less things you don't know about this great city. Because the less you don't know about Detroit, the more you'll want to come back here.
I hope that made sense.
Support for Under the Radar provided by the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, dedicated to shared economic success. MEDC promotes the state's assets and opportunities that support business investment, job growth, and community vitality.
Everyone loves a great story, whether it's the classics we grew up with or the ones handed down through history. But what about the comeback stories, where what's new meets what's next, and why meets why not? Let's dive into the latest chapter of Detroit and the unmistakable vibe of pure Michigan. You're trip begins at Michigan.org.
Support provided by DestinationAnnArbor.org, your gateway to Chelsea, Dexter, Manchester, Milan, Saline, Ypsilanti, and Ann Arbor. There's something special about the pride, the skill, and the passion it takes to build something great. The Construction Association of Michigan, CAM, understands that passion and has been providing contractors with the resources they need since 1885.